Hello. How are you? Yeah, this is gonna be a different video about probably the only other ship and series that I follow well, not religiously, but I do follow it every week. I do look for spoilers, and there isn't really any other series at the moment that I do that with. So um I'm going to talk about Shokugeki no Soma, or Food Wars, or whatever you know it as. Um, and I've been following the series since probably around the 30th chapter. So pretty long. I mean, I've been following it from really early on, and I enjoy it. I've enjoyed it from the very beginning. I like the premise. I like that it's not just, it is a shonen battle series. I mean, it just is. But it's done in a way where it's food. So it's food. It's shonen, but it's food. And I like food. I like cooking. I like baking. So it's interesting to me, but at the same time, there's no balance in the series. But I'll talk about that afterwards. The main point of this video, and it's gonna be, oh my goodness, it's gonna be a long video. Because of course it is, because it's me. But anyway, also Herbert Sherbert the Third, yeah, is watching over us. Anyways, but yeah, it's gonna be about Sorina, or Soeri, which I can't with that name. I know it's the Japanese version of the ship. Of Souma and Erina. They put it together, Soeri. I get it, but in English, it sounds like sweaty. It is not a pleasing word combo in English. It's not. So I prefer Sorina. I do. I just do. So, but whatever you know it as, even if it's just Soma and Erina, cool. I ship it. I ship it real hard. It's probably the thing that I ship the most after Groovia was. And whether you ship Groovia or not, that's not the point of this video. I don't care if you shipped it or not. I did. But Souma and Erina are absolutely the only other ship that I feel very passionate, I guess you could say, about. Now, I made myself a little list of kind of topics just so that I can remember the things I wanted to talk about. It's a short list, but it's going to be a long video. So why Sorina? Right. Okay. So why Soma and Erina? And it's pretty, honestly, the simplest answers to that would be because I really like tsundere pairings. I like that element in ships. I always have, always. Doesn't mean I always ship those, because the second and main reason I like Sorina is because I think it's gonna happen. That is my main criteria for shipping anything. Will it happen? That's it. Do I think it's gonna happen? Yes, then I ship it. That's it. It's as simple as that. Mind you, doesn't mean I'm gonna ship, like, just because I think something's gonna happen doesn't mean I ship it hard. Doesn't mean I really, really enjoy it. Doesn't mean it's something I'm passionate about. There are a lot of ships that I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen, I ship it. But doesn't mean that I'm like crazy over the moon about it, because for whatever reason, it doesn't have the dynamics that I like. I find it a little dull, whatever. So I can ship something, think it's gonna happen, but not really love it. Do you know what I mean? So, but yes, that is my main criteria for why I ship anything. Will it happen? If the answer is yes, I ship it. That being said, Souma and Erina do have a lot of the criteria that I like in ships, which is why I ship it so hard, because Erina was very, very, very soon, from the very beginning, she was just, okay, so a lot of people have problems with Erina, right? Right from the beginning, and you are very entitled to have those problems. You are right in a lot of ways. She was terrible to Soma in the beginning. She did a very, very, really messed up thing, which is she basically denied him entry into the cooking school, into Tutsuki, because she was, she had an ego issue. She didn't like that he was acting the way he was, against her. He was basically making fun of her, kind of, in her opinion. He was kind of, you know, he knocked her down a couple of pegs, basically. She didn't like how cocky he was being, right? And because he was being so cocky, she could not bring herself to say she liked his food. And in fact, quite the opposite. She said it was disgusting. So, I think, right? So, and she failed him. She basically just denied him entry into this very prestigious school because her ego was hurt. And that's terrible. I mean, yes, Soma was acting like a cocky little shit. He was. Alright, as much as anyone would like to say, you know, Soma this and Erina was a bitch about it, she was, but he was also a cocky shit, so it was a bad combo because he wasn't respecting her. He was, you know, he was teasing and like, oh, you know, I thought you were only gonna have one bite, and she was like, I'm gonna have a second one, did you have a problem with that? And it was really cute, it was really funny. But she still failed him, and that could have destroyed the rest of his future. I mean, that's really bad. So if you hate her for that, initially, okay. But if you still hate her for it, I question you very, very strongly, because the only person who was really hurt here, almost, potentially, was Soma, right? Soma doesn't give a shit, as far as I could tell at this point. He has no ill will towards Erina, quite the opposite from what I could tell. So if Soma himself doesn't care, why do you care so much? But it's fine, it's okay, I get it. If you don't like Erina, that's totally cool. I do, I like her because I knew that there was a reason for how she was acting. Doesn't excuse it, mind you, doesn't excuse what she did towards Soma. But there's still reasoning behind it. Now, the reasoning was foreshadowed quite a while ago, when her cousin Alice lost against Soma, and she cried. Erina said that, you know, it must be nice to be able to be selfish and cry like that. So, and that was the foreshadowing of, you know, something more, something else going on in her life for why she can't be more open, why she is as harsh as she is, why she is just trying to be so perfect, and how she judges her food and everything. And I like that. I like that there was a reason behind it. At the point that happened, I thought the reason was that she had a lot of pressure from her family to be perfect, that she was going to be the next person to take all over the series, the whole family business and everything. I mean, the Nagiri Empire, basically. But I was excited to find out what the reasoning is, because there's always a reason. You know, when a character is that, you know, intense. So I don't know. I just don't dislike it, and I never did. I didn't care that she did that because I knew that it would be fine. And it was fine. It was fine immediately because Soma was granted entry via Erina's grandfather. So it was fine. No harm, no foul. You know what I mean? And not only that, again, Soma was such a cocky little shit. I mean, he was. In his entrance ceremony, he basically said, "You're all stepping stools to my, you know, me reaching the top." That's what? And everyone hated him for it, and even Sweet Megumi didn't want anything to do with this dude. Like, he's bad news, you know? Like, how could you do that? How could you say that? You're just saying, you guys are, you're nothing. I'm just gonna be stepping all over you to get to the top. You're no big deal. I mean, and that's the thing. Erina and Soma are kind of similar in a lot of ways. They really are. And I like that. I like that they have similarities in all those differences. So, I don't know. I feel like Erina, yeah, she was wrong, but Soma was kind of wrong too. He was basically like trying to rile her up. He was purposely pushing buttons. So, he knew it. He knew he was getting under her skin, and he pushed her too far, and she did something she shouldn't have done, but she did it, and then that's it. And that's how I see that. You know, I'm not mad at it, and I wasn't mad at it at the time, because again, it was rectified in that very chapter, so I don't care. Now, why do I like Sorina so much? Again, the Tsun thing helps a lot. And she's not even that soon anymore. So, but she was at that point. So she never even did anything necessarily directly against Soma. I mean, she hoped he would fail. She hoped he would get kicked out because he annoyed her. But to me, what the thing is that she never actually proactively tried to get him kicked out. Like, when Nikumi was, like, working under her, kind of, like, she was trying to get into her, like, inner circle and stuff. Which is, I mean, Erina doesn't necessarily even have an inner circle. Her inner circle consists of Hisako. That's it. She doesn't have minions. She doesn't have anybody. She's just Erina, Hisako, and Alice, who teases her. She's just, there's it. She doesn't have friends. Even Hisako wasn't really her friend, because Hisako was like, no, Erina, you're on this pedestal, and I'm just your humble servant. No, and she hated that. She didn't want that. So, Again, Erina never really did anything direct. The only thing she did was that main, very bad thing in the beginning, and that was it. Everything else was just her hoping and like, whoa, you're gonna get kicked out now. Whoa. You know, that's it. That's all it was. And then he wouldn't, and she was like, and that was all. And as time went on, and I like this, there was a very, 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 very slow burn going on throughout the series up until a certain point, where up until like the moon banquet festival thing, or what was it? No, the was it that the one where they're all like they're all, like Soma was versing Kuga in that festival where they were doing Chinese cuisine. Up until then, it was glorious. Honestly, the progression, it was very slow. There wasn't a lot of Erina, but that's okay, because what there was felt like very satisfying. And she was slowly but surely getting to like Soma and respect Soma and accept him on her own. All right, there was no. She stopped even in that arc. That's when she really was like, okay, he belongs here. She didn't say it, but she kind of said it via Megumi, because when they did their Stagare stuff, she was paired up with Megumi, and she's like, you know, you got into the top 8, right? In that arc where they were all I forget all the stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. She got into the top 8, and she's like, that means you're really talented. Now, Soma got into the top 3, so if she thinks Megumi in the top 8 is talented, then obviously that's what she thinks of Soma. She won't say it out loud because Soma annoys her or irritates her, but that's the point. That's what I'm saying, that she accepts it. Like, she's like, okay, he got that far, and he's talented, he deserves to be here, he earned it, but doesn't mean I have to like him. Is kind of where Erina was. But at the same time, she doesn't want him, she didn't want him at that point to get kicked out. When he was like going up against Kuga and was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, have my booth right up opposite yours, and Erina's like, Soma, like, well, Yukihira could. She goes, you do know that if you lose money here, you're gonna get expelled. It wasn't like, oh, you're gonna get expelled. It was, just so you know, you're gonna get expelled. And then she was like trying to say, shouldn't you be concentrating on beating him? Like, she cared. She cared about him not getting expelled. She no longer wanted him to be expelled. It was great because you could see the progression and you could understand it, you know? It was very well done up until that point. Now, I will continue here to, you know, I will expand more on that opinion of mine soon. But anyway, the point is that Soma and Erina to me are just, it was so obvious that this was like the intended pairing, in my opinion, because right from the start, Soma, they have that setup. Soma's like, I'm gonna make you say my food is good. That was the other thing. That's why Erina had to be such a bitch in the beginning. Why she had to do that really awful thing of not letting Soma in, tell him his food's disgusting, because it's the whole setup for the whole entire premise of their relationship in the series, from probably till the very end of whenever the series ends. That is it. That's the setup of why they're gonna grow closer, why Soma has any interest in Erina at all, is because she said something bad about his food. And he, being Soma, said, just like in one of the first chapters, was he wants to get her to say his food's delicious. He's going to get her to say it no matter what. That's what he cares about. That's the challenge. And as long as she doesn't say it, he's going to keep trying. And that is where the whole relationship will build off of. Okay? And I love that. I love it a lot because Erina is so soon and so stubborn, and she's not going to say it unless she's forced to, unless she has to, unless she wants to. And I don't think she wants to because, again, she still thinks Soma's real cocky. And I don't know, I feel like it would be really cute if one day she says, I don't want to say it because then you'll stop cooking for me. And I think Soma would really like that. I think it's cute. But anyway, that's just headcanon, obviously. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, that's what's happening here. As long as Erina doesn't say it, Soma's interested, and she's a challenge, and that's what Soma likes. Because here's the issue. Here is the problem here. Soma and Erina, again, have a couple of things in common that are actually are good and bad. And one of the bad things is that neither of them has any idea or interest in love at the moment. That's the thing, because as far as we've gotten into the series and as much as their relationship has kind of progressed from where it originally was, and it has progressed quite a bit, because originally, and wanted him kicked out and didn't want anything to do with him, and kind of hated him. Well, I don't know if it was hate, but she didn't like him, right? So okay, but now they're so much better off than where they were, and the thing is that the problem is that neither of them have any romantic feelings for the other. There's no romance. There's not a bit. Not even from Erina's side. Well, usually it's the girl, right? The girl usually falls first. Nothing's happened. Of course she's going to still fall first because Soma is the stereotypical shonen oblivious hero. So I feel like, but I like that Erina hasn't fallen for me yet, because what the series did, which I didn't care for, and was that Erina already knows that Soma is the son of her cooking hero, which is Joichiro, right? She adored him, Saiba-sama, right? So she loved him as a cook, a chef. She was a little girl, and she was inspired by him because she didn't realize cooking could be fun and experimental until she met him. And I just didn't want her to find out yet. I didn't want her to find out because I knew, not because necessarily anything so much to do with the story, but the fandom. The fandom would say, oh, Erina only likes Soma because of who his dad is now. And I didn't want that in there. I didn't want that to even be a possible thing to be said. In my opinion, it's pretty obvious. It's nothing to do with Saiba because she doesn't like Soma yet. She doesn't like him in that way. And in fact, she was warming up to him and kind of not rooting for him, but wanted him to not get kicked out before Saiba even became a thing in, like Erina didn't know yet about that connection. She was liking him, accepting him more for who he was rather than who he's related to. And again, even now, she knows that they're related and she still thinks a lot of him, of Joe, but she doesn't. Still, Soma annoys her. Like, when Soma won, like, one of the battles during this whole, versus the Elite 10 arc thing, he was giving everyone, yay, high fives! Erina, no, why should I do that? It's like, no! And he's just like, that's just good. That's good. I'm glad she didn't just immediately fall for him, because that would have honestly been really boring. Really, really boring. And anyway, we have Nikumi like that. Nikumi already went da-da-da-da immediately after Soma beat her, so we don't need any more of that. That's not interesting. It's not. So, not in this case anyway. So, I'm glad that didn't happen with Erina. I'm very, very, very glad. But, yeah, I really like Sori, and it's really obvious to me anyway, right from the beginning, that her grandfather shipped them. He did. Like, in that part where Soma's like, I'm gonna get you to say my food's delicious, with that mouth of yours, he's looking at them. He's observing the whole relationship, and he did that again too when I think when Soma went to get her opinion for the beef stew. I love that he doesn't, you know, like he doesn't even think anything, you know, like oh I you know, she doesn't like me or this, that. He doesn't get it. It's so funny. He doesn't get that she disliked him so much. He's just like, oh, this is a rivalry. This is like, yeah, this is a challenge, and but he still respects her opinion. He's like, who can I go to get like an honest opinion on my beef stew? Who's going to tell me, who has a really good palate, who's going to be able to tell me, you know, the deal with this? Oh, I know, that Giri Erina. And he doesn't even think twice about it. He's like, okay, I'm going to go. And she does do it for some manga. Like, she didn't have to do that. She gets paid a lot of money to do this. She did it basically for free for Soma. So if she really hated him that much, she wouldn't have done any of it. She wouldn't have even tasted it. I know she didn't really give him much help, but it did help him, what she did do. So, you know, that's the thing. That's the thing that you know, I'm going to actually, okay, so this is going to lead into my next point, which is, okay, so the things that Erina and Soma, the things that Erina has helped Soma with, she didn't really do it willingly most of the time. It was either grudgingly or by accident, but she did help him. She helped him basically pass the training from hell arc where, you know, the with the eggs, because he was right next to her, so she had all those people at her table, at her bank, where she was doing her eggs benedict, I think it was. And because she had so many people there, and there was too many people, and they weren't being able to get the food, someone was able to steal some of those people away, and because he was able to steal some people away from her, he was able to make it through, right? So he even said this. He said this himself, you helped me, you know? And she got irritated by that, thinking about it, but yeah, she has helped him. She's helped him through the crucial moments of his story so far. You know, she tasted the stuff for him for Kuga and gave him advice on that about, you know, all the man law stuff or whatever. And she helped him, I'm trying to think. She helped him with the beef stew. She helped him with the, yeah, because she helped him with the beef stew. She helped him with the eggs benedict unwillingly. She has helped him through the crucial moments of the story, and he's grown because of her. And he does want to challenge her, but here's the issue. Okay, so here's the thing. My point is, yes, Megumi has helped Soma very willingly and very faithfully and loyally, and as a very good friend, she's helped him a lot, all the time, as much as she can. But in the crucialest moments, the person who's helped him the most is actually Erina. Again, not willingly, but she's done it. That's just how the story had been set. So that's just how it happened. So my point I wanted to transition into is, why not Megumi? Why not Soma and Megumi? Right, well, I don't have anything bad to say against Megumi. Megumi is a sweetheart. Megumi is a lovely, sweet, adorable character. She's very kind. She's very considerate. She's very loving and caring and everything that, you know, she's just a sweet character. There's nothing bad to say about her. However, from a writing standpoint, from a reading standpoint, impersonally, I feel like just generally, Soma and Megumi as a relationship and as trying to read it as a progressing relationship would be really dull. It wouldn't be, like, if that was the ship, if that was the one that I thought was going to happen, I wouldn't be as into the series as I am right now, to be honest, because it's not interesting to read. I'd ship Megumi and Soma, but it wouldn't be an OTP. It wouldn't be something that I'm really excited about or anything. I've meted about Soma and Erina, but I wouldn't meta about Soma and Megumi because it's, to me, personally boring. There's nothing there. It would probably be the story of Soma is an oblivious, which he is, oblivious, you know, shonen protagonist, and Megumi is the sweet, loyal, you know, friend who has a crush on him and wants, you know, is in love with him and wants him to realize you know, her feelings for him, or is trying to confess to him, and, you know, it's about Soma slowly but surely realizing how she's always there for him, and falling in love with her back, and being, you know, she's the one he wants to cook for, blah, blah, blah. It would be that. It would be that story, and it could be that story, but I feel like it's not. Otherwise, I wouldn't ship Souma and Erina. I feel like that's not the story being told here, too, because it's not that interesting. It's not. I mean, maybe for you it is, but for me personally, my opinion, it's not. It's just dull. There's no real, like, I don't know, like tension or any like conflict there. There's really not. It's just about, oh, when is he gonna realize? That's all it would be. But ironically, and I'm very interested to understand why this happened, but ironically, if we're talking again about feelings, there are no romantic feelings between Erina and Soma at the moment. The only one who seemed to have a hint of romantic feelings in this love triangle, and that's the thing, it's not really, and that's the point, is Megumi. Like, she had that moment after they had those kids they had like a chapter, and for anime watchers, you're not going to know because they strangely cut it out. And that's the other thing, and I think that's important to know that they actually cut it, and that they didn't think it was important enough to even keep in. They didn't make an OVA out of it. They didn't cover it in the anime, and I feel like that too is telling, in that Megumi actually kind of had a moment where, oh, he was blushing. She was blushing. Megumi was blushing, thinking of Soma, like she realized something. She realized that maybe she has feelings for him, right? That's what it came off as to me at the time. However, again, they cut it out of the anime, and it hasn't been touched on again since. So it makes me wonder, was that something that they were maybe thinking about pursuing, like the author at the time, and then they dropped it? Because why cut it out? That to me, someone realizing they have feelings for the main character is a very important thing. Why cut it from the anime? Alright, at first I was like, maybe they cut it, maybe they're going to make an OVA out of it. There hasn't been any OVA, and they kind of passed that quite a bit now, so I don't know if they're ever going to go back to it. But yeah, if it was really that important, why isn't it in the anime? Yeah. But I don't know. Again, Soma and Erina don't have romantic feelings for each other yet, so who knows? Something could change, and maybe Megumi will be pushed, or they'll make some kind of love triangle. But I feel like the love triangle story, if there was ever going to be one, has kind of been dropped. And in that case, you know, Megumi's probably going to end up with somebody else, and that would probably be Takumi. Even though there's not much there either, there's kind of there's a little bit of a foundation because of something that happened in the drama CD of the girls, that Takumi has like a lot of girls who love him. We're getting jealous over Megumi, and he kind of, you know, was very cool about it, the way he played it, and he just, you know, they basically kind of told him over something, I don't remember, but basically he didn't want people to be like attacking Megumi because she's, you know, working with him, and there's a foundation, let's just say that, but there's not much else. So if she ends up with Takumi, that's cool with me. If she ends up with nobody, I doubt it. I'm sure she's gonna be paired off with someone. It's just that I don't think it's Soma, and if it was, I'd be really bored by it. And that's just how I feel. I don't, you know, like people were saying, oh, you know, she's gonna be the one who, Soma's gonna learn the whole cooking for somebody. That was what it was. I think she realized, it's been a long time since I read any of those old chapters, but I think Megumi realized that the person she's cooking for is Soma, and I think that's when she started blushing. So that had romantic implications, but they kind of didn't go anywhere with it. So, and that was so long ago. What was that? It was definitely like somewhere in like 60 chapters or something like that. But yeah, it didn't go anywhere. It just stopped, and I'm curious as to why that is, why it was dropped. I'm not complaining. I don't want a love triangle. I feel like, especially with where the relationships are right now, I feel like that's the thing. That's the other thing. And recently they had in the chapter previous to this newest one. Oh no, a few chapters ago, Erina, when Megumi lost, okay, against Momo, Soma was looking at Megumi, and he had a very affectionate look. Absolutely, it was affectionate towards her because she was trying to, put on a brave face. She was trying not to, be upset. She lost, she was trying to, be upbeat and be Megumi. But he could tell that, it really hurt her, and, he felt for her, and he had that like, oh, she's so endearing kind of thing, right? And if it was just Soma, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting, because it was like all like the little sparkles and stuff. Oh, he's but yes, I have no doubt that was an affectionate look. Problem is, Erina had the exact same look towards Megumi, the same sparkly sparkles, and Megumi kind of, they both had that look towards Megumi. So unless Erina too is falling for Megumi in a romantic way, I'm pretty sure that look was 1000% platonic, alright? It just was. It was so platonic because both Erina and Soma have the same feelings towards Megumi. So, yeah, and I like that because it shows that Erina, that's the other thing. If Erina wasn't going to be something more towards Soma, she wouldn't be friends with Megumi. There'd be no reason for her to interact with Megumi like this and become so close to her. The Stagere thing, to me, was a bridge. It was a bridge between Soma and Erina. As Soma got close to Hisako, and Erina got close to Megumi. Okay, Erina and Soma have the same opinion about Megumi. They have more faith in her than she has in herself. They have higher opinion of her cooking than she has of herself. That's just how it is. And I like that. Again, it's a similarity that Souma and Erina have, which is a good similarity, that they both they think of Megumi very highly, right? But that's it. It's platonic because it's the same feeling from both of them towards Megumi. Okay? But that, to me, is why not Megumi, because it would be, personally, really dull to read a story of Soma and Megumi getting together compared to what it would be with Soma and Erina, because this challenge has been set from the beginning of Soma making Erina say his food was delicious. It's just that there's more higher stakes involved, it's more conflict, so to me, there's more tension and it's more interesting. I go where there's more tension, always. And I feel like so's the story is going where there's more tension. And I like that neither of them really have feelings for each other yet. But that being said, I'm not attacking Megumi. I have nothing against Megumi. I think she's really sweet, like I said. And I think she's a really good friend for Soma. And that's just, to me, that's just all it seems like it is all. But I feel like a lot of people who do like Megumi and Soma, and I completely understand why you would ship it. Again, coming from somebody who liked Gruvia, where Juvia was so loyal and would do anything for Gray, I understand why someone would like Megumi, who is so sweet and again loyal and devoted basically to helping him as much as she can. But to me, Gruvia had soon because of Gray. Megumi and Soma don't have any of it. It would, but people who like Soma and Megumi, not all of them, but a lot of them tend to have to attack Erina to feel better about Souma and Megumi. Because I've gotten anons like that. Maybe some of them are troll, I don't know, but I've gotten anons of people attacking Erina and her personality or her actions because they prefer Megumi and Soma. And in my opinion, if you have to attack the other ship, if you have to like try and knock it down or attack the character, the other girl, that says more about the ship you prefer than it does about the one you don't. Because if you have to, that means it can't stand on its own. I never had to with Gruvia attack any other ship because I didn't need to. It spoke for itself. Same thing with Soma and Erina. Now you could say I just talked about Megumi and Soma myself, but I wasn't attacking it. I wasn't trying to knock it down. I'm just explaining why I don't ship it. Why it, to me, I wouldn't prefer it to be a ship. I'm not saying it can't be a ship. I'm not even saying that it won't ever happen. I don't know. Anything could happen, because like I said, the only person who had even a hint of feelings in the Erina, Soma, and Megumi is Megumi. But I'm just saying it seems like it's been dropped, and I don't know why. And I don't mind, because I don't ship it. So, but you could, there are other candidates for Soma, who do have very obvious feelings for him, which would be his, like, childhood, whatever she was. She lived in his, his town, and she would taste his nasty food that he would make, like the peanut butter squid thing, and then of course there's Nikumi again, who went dere very quickly after he beat her, but I think everyone could pretty much agree that they don't have a chance in hell of ever ending up with Soma. And I'm glad that a lot of that stuff's kind of been put on the back burner. Again, it seemed like there was a harem developing, and now it doesn't feel that way anymore. This recent arc doesn't feel like harem territory anymore. Like, Megumi doesn't seem to have, like, active interest. Again, it could change. It could change. I'm not closing the door on it. I hope it doesn't, but I feel like that if they felt like, oh, things are getting boring, or people, it's becoming too obvious who's going to end up with who, they might throw in more problems with that. But at the moment, it doesn't feel like a harem. It feels like Nikumi likes him, that other girl at his hometown isn't even in the picture, and, Erina doesn't even have feelings for him yet. So, and Megumi's stuff has kind of been brushed under the rug for whatever reason. So, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't feel like a harem, and I'm glad. I don't want a harem. I don't like that. I'd rather just, see Soma and Erina slowly but surely kind of develop in that way. Now, okay, so there's a lot of other things I could say about Souma and Erina, what I would like to happen, but first I'm going to talk about the current storyline. Because I was watching the anime, I haven't finished this season yet, even though the season itself is finished, and I was watching, I think it was the 7th episode, and it was like Azami talking about the changes to Tsuki, and how, like, the societies, the research societies and all the little clubs and stuff are closing. They're all going to close, and everybody has to cook the same way, and everybody's going to be under central, and it made me laugh, to be perfectly honest, because in the anime, even more so than the manga, it seems so ridiculously over the top. That music is what gets me, that very dramatic do-do-do-do. It's like that dramatic music, as if, like, they're about to enter a battle, or if there's, like, this big baddie who's, like, looming over everybody, and you're all gonna die! It was that! And I can't. As much as I love Soma and Erina, and as much as I love the fact that Erina finally has an arc that's focused around her, took long enough. I mean, would it take like 200 chapters, or just about? Like, cause she was in the background for so much of the series. That's a lot of chapters. So she needed something to bring her to the forefront, but was it this? I don't know if it needed to be this. At the time, I was excited. I'm like, oh wow, this is really, but I didn't necessarily like how dramatic it was, because it just came off as silly. It's not that kind of series that it needed to be this dramatic, that, oh my god, all the restaurants are going to close unless they follow the guy. It's just silly. It doesn't make any sense. How could this possibly happen? I don't understand. So yeah, the anime even more so highlights how ridiculous it is. That being said, in the beginning, I was excited, because I was like, oh my god, poor Erina, she was, like, really genuinely abused, what the heck? That's crazy! The whole throwing out food thing, though, is really funny. But anyways, okay, I can forgive, because, again, Erina development, but it was overly dramatic. It didn't need to be this dramatic. Again, I like the slow burn. Up until Soma faced Kuga and all that stuff, that to me was that was great development, because she was very slowly opening up and liking him for who he was, and just growing closer to him naturally. So this was like, okay, you know what? This isn't happening fast enough. boom, Azami, like, boom, child abuse, boom, you know, like, everyone taking over the school, blah, blah, blah. It just was so, it's funny, it's just funny. It shouldn't have happened like this. It didn't need to be like this, and it really wasn't done well. I don't know, so people who don't like this arc, I get it. I completely get it. It's not written well. It wasn't thought out well. It is too over the top. It's too dramatic, and it doesn't go with the series that had been established. Shokugeki no Soma was, you know, yeah, there was, oh my god, you're gonna get expelled. That in itself, too. That is a big problem with the series, because as soon as you mention expulsion, you know that character is fine, because they're not going to get expelled. You can't expel, especially Soma. You can't expel him. And you might say, but there's a bunch of characters got expelled right now. Exactly, and they're going to end up fine. That's how you know they're going to be fine, because they can't expel the entire main cast. That's the end of the series if that happens. So, that's why that should never, they should have, like, maybe, yes, start with expulsion, but then cut down on the stakes. Say, oh, if this happens, then, I don't know, you know, you're gonna get knocked down in your class, or you're not gonna be able to live in the Polar Star dorm anymore if you get bad something. I don't know, anything but, you know, expulsion. You can't keep throwing expulsion at us throughout the entire series, however long it lasts, because it loses its impact. It's the whole time, just like the death scares. It's the death scare of Shokugeki no Soma, and you can't have that many death scares and not follow through. It just loses impact, right? There's no tension to it if you keep doing that. Anyway, point is, Erina and Soma, this is her arc, okay? So it's good that she was able to, basically, it was a reason to get her into the Polar Star dorm, to get her to hang out with Soma and his crew, basically, to have her get to know them more, to open up more, to grow as a character. That's all good. All of those things are good things. And just to bring her into the main storyline and not have her just be an outsider, an antagonist. Because otherwise, how would they do it? But there must have been other ways besides what this is. I mean, there has to have been. I mean, or they could have had him not be so dramatic. Like, Azami could have, yeah, been really strict, but he didn't need to be a child abuser, and he didn't. I guess it's because they had set Erina up as, you know, they needed something to be really bad in order to counteract what she did to Soma at the beginning. In my opinion, it's just too much. It just is, and it's funny. But whatever. It's not supposed to be funny, but it's funny. So, yeah, I feel like right now with Souma and Erina, especially these last chapters, you could kind of see where this relationship will probably eventually go and how it would grow, because Soma always, he's always looking at her, right? He knows because her grandfather I should say, told him what happened to her and how she used to be, so he has that insight, okay? But he didn't want to help her necessarily, although he is. He wanted to just kind of, he said he just wants her to say his food's delicious. So, that's all he wants, but he's the one who opened her up. Like, he's the one who kind of broke that, I don't know, she was so, like, timid after Azami came into the picture. She didn't know what to do with herself, and he kind of brought her spirit back out because he cooked for her and she liked it. And it is always egg for some reason that, you know, like obviously the initial challenge that he had to get into Totsuki in the first place when she judged him and said, you know, your food's, you know, disgusting. When she judged him, it was egg. When they went up against each other during that hell camp thing, it was egg again. And when he made a dish for her, to kind of make her feel better, again, it was like to remind her of what, you know, Joichiro cooked for her and stuff. Again, it was egg. So egg is obviously real important and for some reason, and I mean, it is a very versatile ingredient, so it could be just that, but yeah, to me, Soma's always looking at Erina. He gives her these looks, and it's a very kind of, I don't know if I would even, maybe affectionate, but more so like kind of proud or happy. Really happy looks like, but at the same time, like he was giving those looks to her when she was finally breaking out of her shell, no pun intended considering the eggs, but when she was breaking out of her shell for like to like lead everyone on to actually fight against Azami's administration. He was looking at her there. He was looking at her when she was like doing her teacher thing. He was looking at her now recently because she's coming out to fight Momo. And I do think that she's doing it to avenge Megumi, so that's really nice. Because again, it's the friendship thing. She's becoming friends with all of Soma's friends, and that wouldn't happen or be necessary if she wasn't going to have any kind of romantic relationship with him. It wouldn't. Why would someone become friends with Hisako? Why would they need to get close at all? Why couldn't she just be at a distance? Why does she need to be that involved? Because it's not going to end there. It's going to keep going. But yeah, again, because Souma and Erina don't have any, that's the bad thing they have in common. They don't have any interest romantically in anyone. That's not what their focus is. Their focus is food. All right? They have romantic interest towards food, but they don't have any romantic interest in the opposite sex. Is just, I mean, obviously Erina has some because she likes shoujo manga, so she's got an inkling there. There's a general interest, but there's no specific interest right now. But there will be, and it will be Erina first because again she's the girl and Soma's the shonen protagonist, so it can't be him. But there is, again, a base, there's a foundation, because right now, what Soma does love is a challenge, and that's exactly what Erina is. She's the challenge. And that is why that's going to turn into love, because, again, Joichiro said at the very beginning, you have to give find someone who you want to give all your cooking to. Now, here's the other thing of why I prefer Erina and Soma, because Soma is a chef, Erina is a food taster. Hello, that is so much more, that makes so much more sense than him being with anyone else. Who is going to help him improve his food and help him grow the most as the main character in a freaking food shonen? It's going to be Erina, because she's the one who tells him, like, she has the ultimate palate, so she's going to be the one to be able to really tell him and help him as far as his improving on his food. And she's also a challenge in that, as you can see in the newest chapters, he's excited. Like, Erina genuinely excites him because he's going to get to see her cook. And he's excited just by that, just by seeing. Nobody else really, I mean, people do, but I've never seen him get excited about seeing another woman cook before. Seeing a woman cook, like, he doesn't happen. Like, he'll cheer Megumi on, or he'll be like, yay, go you, but he's really focused, and he's really paying attention to Erina, and she just excited, and that excitement will turn into different kind of excitement. It's gonna go into romance, because, again, he's so hell-bent on having her say his food's delicious, and she's hell-bent on not saying it, because she's stubborn. She still doesn't want to give him that satisfaction, and until he gets that satisfaction, he's going to keep trying. And that's the whole thing with Souma and Erina, is he's gonna keep trying. So, I just really like it. I just really like that it is such a slow burn. I like that she doesn't have feelings for him yet, he doesn't have feelings for her yet, and that there's the foundation that they probably will. In the newest chapters, I feel like I feel like with Momo, the fact that she made a castle out of those, like, jelly roll things, or Swiss rolls, or whatever you call them. I've made one, or a couple. I've even made a Gruvio one. I mean, they're not that hard. So, the fact that she made a castle out of it, though, and they were saying, oh, the cuteness queen, or whatever she was, compared to the ice queen of Erina, I think Momo just made a castle for a queen right now, and Erina is gonna dominate that castle, being the queen she is basically, there's no doubt in my mind that Erina's gonna win. It does kind of suck, though, if you're a Megumi fan, because obviously Megumi lost to Momo, and now Erina comes back, and at least if they had just at least done, if they had at least just done her, giving them an ingredient that was maybe very savory, that Momo couldn't have used for sweet, and that they had to do savory, and Erina won because of that, you could say that. But giving her another ingredient, which is Muscovado sugar, which is like brown sugar, a really nice brown sugar, you basically said that, oh, Megumi couldn't win against Momo because it was her own specialty, but Erina's gonna beat Momo in her own specialty, unless Erina does something like she does a savory dish instead, to fight against Momo's sweet dish. Then okay, then that would make sense. But if she beats her in her own specialty while Megumi couldn't, I mean, but again, Megumi's on a different level still. But it still sucks, like, because you're being forced to compare Megumi and Erina, and I don't know. I feel like that they should have done it as a savory thing, so that at least that would make more sense of Erina beating, and kind of like soften the blow of Erina beating Momo when Megumi couldn't. You know what I mean? But it's whatever. Erina's supposed to be a higher level than Megumi anyway, so it's fine. And she's doing it again to avenge Megumi, and I'm sure that Erina also, I have no doubt actually that she's going to mention Megumi, because she's saying that Momo was already irritated to begin with, and obviously that has to do with Megumi, because Megumi got a point off her, which she didn't think would happen. So it was not a blowout, and that definitely annoyed Momo. So I do think Erina's going to talk about Megumi and say that that's why that's why Erina was able to win, because Megumi already kind of tired her out with the whole freaking thing of being, what is it? What's the word? Where they're exhausted because they had a match, like Ishii and Rindo, they're tired after one match. Come on, that doesn't make any sense. That's silly. I don't understand that. That's really very, very contrived plot device, but it's whatever. Again, I don't necessarily enjoy this arc. There's a lot about this arc that I really don't like. And again, it's the drama, the unnecessary drama, and a lot of things that aren't very logical. But again, I forgive it because Erina is in the spotlight to some extent, and it's her arc. So I forgive it because she's going to get character. She's getting a lot of character development out of it, and that's the only reason I'm bearing through this. Anyway, so yeah, I did talk a long time. It's almost an hour, and it was very rambly as usual. I wish that this had been more like in order and just more cohesive, I guess. I hope that you guys understood what I was saying. Obviously, I prefer Souma and Erina. I like them a lot, and I like that the whole thing is building to her saying that his food's delicious, and that they're growing closer and supporting each other in a natural way, that even though Erina knows that Souma, Joichiro is Soma's dad, that didn't make her fall in love with him immediately, and that she was getting close to him before that, and I just like their chemistry. I like what their relationship, their like dynamic is, I should say. It's fun because, and the thing I didn't touch on that I wanted to talk about too, was back when she said she wanted him to pass. They wanted them both to make it into the second year together. I thought this was really important, and I still think it's really important because Soma was basically, you know, joking around as he always is, and he was like teasing her, like, oh, now you want me to pass before you like couldn't wait till I failed and dropped out. And then she's like, would you stop joking around? Basically she shut him down, and he was shocked, like, because she knew that he's just trying to blow things off, and she was getting annoyed by it because she's like, you have to take this seriously. I want you to pass. We all have to get through together. And she cut through him. She cut through his bullshit, which is a lot. I mean, we never really see Soma annoyed or irritated or like hurt. It's very rare, and you don't really see his insecurities. Like we saw it ages ago with Shinomiya when he lost, when he was fighting to help Megumi. You saw it there, but it's very rare to see Soma rattled, and Erina rattled him. She cut through him. She saw through him. And that's very good, because I've never seen anyone do that before in this series, that she just cut through the bullshit. And that's very good, because that shows that they're kind of on equal ground. Because Soma can cut through her bullshit, but she can cut through his too. And nobody else can do that for them. Well, Alice can cut through Erina's bullshit sometimes, but for the most part, Soma really does rattle her, and it's nice to see she can rattle him back. So... And she does get to him, because he would when he made that dish for her in his room, he was like, now you're gonna say it, right? How was it? She wouldn't. She completely avoided, and he was like, and he got nothing out of that. It sucked for him, but that's the thing, that's what's gonna carry them over. As long as she doesn't say it, he's gonna still keep cooking for her. And but yeah, I thought that was really important that she saw through him. That's probably gonna happen again at some point. And I don't know. I like that she's not like everybody else. She's not fawning all over Soma. You know, like when he just won the recent battle, they all piled on top of him. Or again, the whole high five thing, she wouldn't do it. Part of it is soon, and another part of it is, of course he did it. Of course he won. Like, she has faith, like, now. Like, she knows that he's good and that he's gonna win. And she's not even surprised that he won. There was no, oh, good, you did it, yay, good job. As for where the story, but yeah, I really liked that. I really like that she cuts through him. Because it shows that they kind of understand each other, that where other people don't. But yeah, they both have to discover the whole taste of love thing too. That kind of special, that focus on Erina, that she doesn't yet know the taste of love. Like I said, they both don't. Will she cook for Soma? I'm curious, because that's another thing, actually. Sorry, I said this was like almost an hour, now it's gonna go over, because I just remembered Soma hasn't tasted her food yet, right? They, for whatever reason, have been avoiding that. Like, when Azami showed up, he was going to her restaurant to taste, and he couldn't because of the Azami stuff. So, he's never tasted her food, and I'm wondering if that has anything to do with, that there's going to be something different said by him towards her that's going to make her want to cook for him. Is he not going to like it? Is he going to have a criticism? Because another thing I didn't touch on is, and another reason why I think Erina and Soma are the couple that's actually going to happen, is because she was the girl in the one shot. There was nobody else. There was no one but Soma and Erina, and like Erina's lackey. It was just them, and there was no Joichiro, there was no Megumi, there was nobody else. There was just Soma and Erina. And that's what the whole series was based off of. So to me, and in that one shot, Soma did try her food, and he said it was too perfect. It was boring because it was too perfect. And I'm wondering, I always thought maybe that would come into this series, into the main series at some point, and I don't know. I don't know if it will, because I don't know what they're building towards with Soma still not ever having tried Erina's food. Everyone else thinks it's great, but I feel like Soma is going to say something that's going to piss her off. Because otherwise, why hold off on him trying it? I don't get it. I don't understand. And in that case, they're both going to want to impress each other, which will be really funny. Like, imagine Erina being so pissed off that Soma has never said, like, thought her food was, like, too boring. and obviously Soma's trying so hard for all this time to get her to say how much she loves, you know, to say that she loves his food. So it's nice because they're both kind of would be striving for the same kind of thing, which is each other's approval. And I don't know. I don't know how their relationship's gonna play out. I just have little headcanons on how I'd like it to play out. I do think Soma, once he realizes, because Soma, he's very like carefree and easygoing and, you know, very honest for the most part, except when he's trying to bullshit his way past like his insecurities, which again Erina kind of cut through. I feel like in fact I would like to see more of that. I want to find out about his mom and what happened to her, and because apparently that's something that they're going to touch on, and according to the author on Twitter anyway. I want to see more of his insecurities, actually, because I liked the Shinomiya moment where he punched the wall. I liked Erina cutting through him, saying, you know, stop joking around. I liked all that. I want to see more of that, because I feel like that's one of the things Soma actually lacks, is that he doesn't have enough of those moments. He's too carefree. He's too perfect, I guess you could say, in that. And I do like that he's really paying attention to Erina right now, because I think that it's good that he's like, she's all like fired, like she's all fiery today or something like that. And I don't know what the original dialogue was. It didn't sound like it was that, but because that's a weird thing to say in Japanese. But I do like that he knows that something's up, and he's studying her and really intensely, and he's having faith in her. So I don't know, I feel like he's fascinated by her, you know? And I think she's kind of fascinated by him, and that's exciting. Again, it's exciting. I like Soma and Erina's relationship because it's exciting to me. And that's really the most important reason why I ship it. So, yeah, I think it's going to happen. I think that Sorina is the one that's going to come out in the end. I don't know how long the series is going to go on. I don't know where they're going to go from here. If they're already, you know, I feel like it was too soon to challenge the Elite 10. That's my opinion. It's only their first year. They're only halfway through it. I don't know why they would go here so quickly. But I guess because they shouldn't have even, to me, they shouldn't have even introduced all of the Elite 10. Because obviously the top ones are going to graduate soon. They could have just introduced some of them. Work their way up to all of them. You don't need all of them at once. You know, because now I don't know. I mean, obviously they have other things they could do, like that blue thing they mentioned that Joe was supposed to go do, and he just got too stressed out and dropped out of school. They could do that, obviously. I don't see why they would introduce it if not for that, but then what, you know? I don't know. Also, another thing I don't like about this series is there's no balance. There's no balance. There's too many food battles. Yes, it's a shonen battle series with food, but you need some you know, some breaks. You need some downtime. You can't just have battle after battle after battle and not have any character interactions or fluffy moments or cozy moments. You need more of those so that the characters' relationships can grow. It's hard for their character and for the relationships to grow when you just have a lot of food battles. You can't focus on the character relationships. You have to just focus on the battle, and it gets really tiring. It really does. If it wasn't for Souma and Erina, I probably would have stopped focusing, or like I wouldn't be following it the way I am, because it would be too dull to me to like really keep me interested. Souma and Erina really is the thing that's keeping me interested in the series. So if they weren't growing, and you know, if their relationship wasn't something I was focused on and in any way, I probably would have maybe even dropped it a while ago because of that, especially with how dramatic it got. So, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I ship Souma and Erina. And it was a very long explanation. And I really like them. And I hope that this series, this arc ends in a fun, good way. I'm sure that they're gonna win. There's no way they're gonna lose. I don't know how they're gonna win. If it's Souma and Erina versus Eishi and Rindo, you know, they're the top two. I want them to like have to collaborate on one dish each. to me, because I think Aishi wouldn't be able to with Rindo. I think that she's too much of a, she's too wild, she's too unpredictable. I mean, she made Alligator. And Aishi is like a perfectionist, and he doesn't like he was surprised that Soma was able to work under him, because he says that hardly anybody's able to keep up with him, and he doesn't really like people messing around with his food. So I feel like they would have a hard time, because they're so different, really collaborating on something and making something like cohesive together. While Souma and Erina actually have cooked together because they did that training with Joe. So I feel like they would be more successful as in teamwork than Aishi and Rindo, and that was always, I thought that was always going to be the whole point of these battles, is that the rebels were going to win because of teamwork. And we've seen some of that, but we haven't seen that much of it, really. So, I mean, if Souma and Erina, as good as Erina is and as good as Soma is, should they logically be able to beat the top two in the school? No, they shouldn't. And yet they probably will. They have to. Somehow they have to win. They can't lose. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah. Sorry this was so long. Anyway. But yeah. Souma and Erina are, in my opinion, going to happen. We'll see what happens, though. Never say never. Never say... I don't want to say anything for sure, because... anything could change, especially if they feel like, for whatever reason, they need to throw in a love triangle, or, mix things up for ratings or whatever. I could see that, but I hope they don't. I like it right now as far as the relationships go. So anyway, I hope people like the series as much as I do, or like Souma and Erina as much as I do, and find it interesting what I said. And if not, well, I'm sorry, because it was really long, and I hope you didn't sit through all of this if you thought it was boring. So anyway, yeah. So from me and Herbert Sherbert III back there, goodbye.